My hope for season 1 of the Let's Talk About Autism in Hmonglish podcast was to lay down the foundation for what autism awareness may look like in the Hmong community. I also wanted to introduce the core professionals that families may encounter while receiving autism services. I will be forever grateful to all of my guests who agreed to share their stories so that together we can all help to normalize conversations in Hmonglish about autism. Season 2 was about exploring more in depth the topics introduced in Season 1. I had the privilege of being schooled on holistic therapy and what it will take to shift the Hmong community from autism awareness to autism acceptance. I'm so proud of all the courageous souls who entrusted me to provide a platform to share their stories, and I hope that many years from now, other Hmong families will find comfort and support from hearing similar stories to their own experiences reflected in their Hmong brothers and sisters. I leave you all in Season 2 with a heartwarming chat I had with Sai Vang. I first met him when I co-founded a Facebook parent support group, and I am so glad to have finally found an opportunity to learn and share about Sai's journey as a Hmong autistic adult. Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk About Autism in Hmonglish podcast. For today's season finale, I wanted to bring on someone that, well, first of all, since I started the podcast, a lot of people have said or asked and said, Tia, it's really important that we have representation and we should have someone on the podcast who is a Hmong individual with autism. And so I've been on a search. I've been looking kind of, looking at my network and trying to find a guest who would like to come on the show and share their experience. And so for today's episode, I am so thrilled to welcome to my podcast a special guest of mine. His name is Sai Vang, and Sai will tell you more about himself as we talk through this, but he has been really a pillar of the Hmong autism community in terms of sharing his experience and talking about all the amazing resources that he's taken advantage of. So welcome to the show, Sai. Thank you so much for being here today.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so this is your third time being on a podcast, is that right?
Yes, the first two was with Meichi.
Yeah, so your experience with this, like you've been doing this for a long time, longer than me, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, because I just started last year, so you've been around the block a few times doing the podcast. So thank you for agreeing to come on my podcast to talk about autism in Hmonglish. Good behind the Hmong tia. I didn't even ask you that before.
Uh, no, I'm not fluent. I
Yeah.
I
Oh,
I might know one or two words, but I mostly talk
sure.
English.
Yes. And that's why I name my podcast and I design my podcast to be in Hmonglish because, sometimes some of my listeners might speak only Hmong, right? Or might speak only English or might do Hmonglish. So I want to be able to, make it available to all three different camps. So yes. Sai, before our recording today, we talked about, what you wanted to share with the Hmong community and with me and my listeners. And so just thank you so much for your time. I would love to go ahead and give you the floor for you to tell me more about yourself and talking about your hobbies and your interests.
My name's Sai. I'm 49. Uh, with a cat named Lisha,
Yeah.
and my hobbies and interests are I attend classes and workshops to
Mm-hmm.
to to a community bridge, South Washington County, and Adult Richmond. Those
Mm-hmm.
those programs offer classes for people who have like a disability, like autism, ADHD, any kind of disability, and those classes help the person able to do things on their own. Like for
Yeah.
example, like they could do painting or cook food.
And you said that is through the Community Bridge program in your area, right?
Yeah, community bridge. Actually, it's community bridge slash ISD 622, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then it's South Washington County Community Ed, and the Adult Richmond.
Yeah, and you've been going to these classes, you said, for over 5 years now,
Uh,
right?
yes,
Very cool. I saw some of the classes you mentioned, like painting, Uno with ice cream, food cooking, bingo nights, match game, family feud, tree painting, and custom glass mosaic table. I love all the variety of things that they offer. Do you get to meet a lot of peers there, and get to socialize as well?
yes, I mean a lot of people who taken those classes and others, and
Mm-hmm.
and also taking those classes, it helps. Like for me, it helps me to release stress from work
Mm-hmm.
because it gets me motivated, and I can and I
Yeah.
need to do something outside of work. Uh, like I mentioned before, that I I didn't want to follow my parents' footsteps because my the older generation, they just work and go home. They're not
Mm-hmm.
they're not like a they don't like go out and do things. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I changed my style. So I do this so I become more active outside of work and do things that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about kind of learning more and doing more, right? And a lot of self care too. So I'm glad that you're participating in all those activities after work. So can you tell me a little bit about work? I think it's amazing that you were able to, locate all of these different programs that were like helpful and resourceful to help you get I think you said you have your associate's degree and it was very specific to the job that you were placed in. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, I, I call it 4 degrees, but I I went to St. Paul College. I got two certificates: the admin assistant and
Mm-hmm.
help desk. Then I stayed there for another
Yeah.
2 years. Get two AAS degrees in business
Mm-hmm.
admin and admin assistant. So yeah,
Okay.
and it's kind of like 4 degrees, but with that,
Mm-hmm.
I know more about admin duties, and I can do the Word documents, the Microsoft Office documents. So with
Mm-hmm.
that, I was able to work at the state through the SEED program, which they just required a person to be in college, and 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 the person just had to have a form, give it to the doctor for the doctor to look over and sign it, and then the student just submitted that to the state agency, and then from there on, if they see a job posting title, before they apply, email a copy of the the certificate to the
Mm-hmm.
posting to the HR person, and then when they email the applicants, which is they don't call, it's only to email only, and then
Mm-hmm.
the email will just tell the applicant, can you come in at this day or time, and when they come in, it's an informal interview, so they won't ask like a job interview. They won't ask those.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just ask the applicant, can you do these minimum qualifications, and
Mm-hmm.
then after 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 the uh, kind of interview. Um, a week or two later, they'll respond back to email that they were offered a job position, and
Mm-hmm.
they hire you, but they just want to see if you are able to do the minimum qualifications, and if you
Mm-hmm.
can, they hire you, and you'll be on a 6 month probation period. Then after the probation, they'll they hire you permanently at the state, and with the state, you get all the I call the, the I call the goodies, like you get medical, dental, vision, pension, all these things. per
Mm-hmm.
state. So that's one good thing about it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Now, how long ago did you start this process of getting all your certificates and your AS degrees so that you can be ready to be employed with the state?
I started back in January '07, January
Oh,
'07
wow.
to
Yeah.
yeah, January '07 to May '09 was my two certificates, and then
Mm-hmm.
from August '09 to June 2011 was my two AAS degrees, and from there on,
Mm-hmm.
I've been with the state for next year will be 15 years.
So you started your process of becoming getting your education and your certificate so that you can work for the state in early 2000s. But you share that you were diagnosed with autism in 2019 at the age of 45. So can you share with me, like, what life events led you to seek a diagnosis after, honestly, to me, it sounds like you were very successful in kind of figuring out, like, oh, now that I'm done with high school, what is next? And then you found some opportunities, you went and got, further education, you got your certificates, your degrees, and then you found a position with the state. That's amazing. That's awesome. And then about maybe, it looks like maybe 10 years after working for the state, you saw an autism diagnosis. Can you tell me more about that journey?
Yes, I actually it started back in the '80s when when I was in grade school. They
Mm-hmm.
they noticed I was having these issues in class and other learning things, but back then autism wasn't known, so
Yeah.
they diagnosed me with learning disability back then,
Okay.
and then that and they put me in IEP
Yes.
for all the way through my high school years.
Mm-hmm.
And then after high school in '94, I I tried college, but
Mm-hmm.
apparently I found out that IEP was in college.
Right.
Yeah, and then that was very difficult for me. So I decided to take some time off and kind of look for part-time work. Then after years,
Mm-hmm.
I went back to college and I looked at the program degrees and computer was kind of easy. Like actually admin was kind of easy, and I looked at the degree and the program classes. Oh, they looked easy, so I tried it, and I mostly got A's and B's on the business
Yeah.
classes and Microsoft. So that thing I could do much better. So I tried it, and from there on, I I kind of excel on that. And then and then when I was when I was still in college, I did start to have some issue on writing my writing classes
Mm-hmm.
just because I was taking Com one, and that took me a long time to get there. But my professor back then knows the symptoms and signs because apparently he knows that before from previous students. So he was able to help me,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to Com one with a B, and I took Com two, and and with his help, I was able to get to Com two, so
Mm-hmm.
those classes were hard, but with his help, I was able to accomplish composition writing,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, I I decided to get diagnosed. So my PCP and doctor referred me to Autism Society,
Mm-hmm.
and so I went there, met a therapist. He gave me like a 5 or 6 pages of questions
Mm-hmm.
that a patient had to answer, and there were many of them that I couldn't understand. So I just have a friend or coworker just paraphrase the question for me, and when he paraphrased, oh, I see. Okay, so I understand the question if someone can paraphrase rather than read it.
Mm-hmm.
So so after they preface a few, oh, I see it, and I just wrote down my short answers, and then I submit that to my therapist at Autism Society, and he gave reports, which is a 5-page report, and the good thing is that the cost was like what $800, and my
Oh
insurance
wow,
covered
that's a
it.
lot.
That
Oh, good, good, good.
that because my insurance was Blue Cross, and
Mm-hmm.
I looking back, I did some research and I noticed that insurance would cover if you're a state employee, but when you're
Oh.
but when you're not in state agency and you're in a private,
Mm-hmm.
they don't cover that. And I noticed
Mm-hmm.
that trend that some people who work at state, the insurance cover
Mm-hmm.
those services, but others who don't, they don't cover. So I kind of noticed that trend more, and which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of odd, but but my insurance covered it, and I and now and now I'm in join some committee and kind of helping them.
Yeah. So once you got your diagnosis, and this was just 5 years ago, but I mean, it sounds like you were thriving, like doing activities, being part of your community, working. Do you feel like once you got the diagnosis that it opened more doors for you to get more support
Uh,
or more resources for support?
uh, After diagnosed, I did get some negative feedback, usually from my parents, from the older Hmong generation, because my parents they they see that as a bad. Um, um, they use the term they use the term they use the term as stupid. I don't know
Mm,
that just they don't know what that autism is, and so they think that's
right.
a bad thing. But and that was it that down. But I I just ignored that and just talked to friends who I know who have that, and they were more positive. And even though
Mm-hmm.
they're just telling me, you have that, don't let you down. Do things that you enjoy doing. So since then I
Yeah.
enjoy doing things I've done, and like one of them is I I've been out there meeting a lot of famous people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've been doing that since '98 before I was diagnosed, but now I'm still doing it, and found out that the people that I meet, the famous people I meet, their kids have it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can talk to them and can share that I'm in the same boat with them, but and for me I enjoy going out and meeting celebrities and artists. So
Yes, I saw that you shared a lot of concerts that you've been going to, and it looks like music is a big part of your life. Can you share with me how music helps or motivates you?
it helps me after I went through a depression or loss. Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, my kid passed away with cats. My cat
Mm-hmm.
Maya passed away on the 15th, and
Yeah, I'm so
and
sorry to hear about that, Sai.
yeah, and the next day I had her cremated. And then after that, I started listening
Mm-hmm.
my music, and which is positive because it helped me to move on, and also kind of helped me to think that I did help her, kind of raise her as if she was my own child.
Mm-hmm.
And so
How
I
old
had
was
her.
she?
Oh, she was born in '07.
Oh, wow. I can't do the math right now, but that's a lot. That
Yeah,
she was like what, 10, 17? She's 17?
yeah, yeah. Same thing with my other cat, 17. And so I kind of had her
Yeah.
a long time, and they were always happy to see me
Mm-hmm.
when I come home.
Yeah. Was she sick or was she just really old? I don't have pets, particularly cats. So was she just sick or she's just old?
Uh, she was like in a senior cat, and she couldn't eat and started losing a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, and I tried to feed her. she won't eat, and and I and I'm thinking that it must it must be cancer because just because
Oh, she had cancer.
I could feel like her her bone when I was petting her, and and I tried my best, but she she was gone on the 15th.
Yeah, well, I'm so sorry to hear that. And you said that for animal lovers, right? Like your pets are like your children. So I know that must have been a very big loss. And you still lost, and you said you still have one other cat. Is that right? You had two, now you have one.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and you probably know that pets are like emotional support animals. That
Yeah.
so they help
Yes.
people who have the disability and mental health.
Yeah, so I mean, you've had them for 17 years. Um, and did you get a pet for that reason, or did you just happen to always be a cat lover? How did that start?
Uh, Actually, it was both. I like cats, and then
Mhm.
I started have some symptoms early on, like depression and ADHD.
Mhm.
So I decided to get a cat, um, and even though my parents don't like it, I just need to
Yeah.
have a pet for my own health and support.
Mhm.
And so having one or both really helps me.
Well, I think it's really healthy that you identified, seeking support and comfort, whether it's with friends or family or a cat a pet. And then also, you said when you lost your cat a few weeks ago, you listened to music to help you because you knew you were kind of going through those the feelings of depression, and the music helped you out. So when I was putting together the images, for this podcast, you sent me a picture of you with Amy Grant, and I love Amy Grant. Have you met her a few times, or was that your first and only time?
That was my first time meet Amy
Yeah.
through my network connection I had because
Oh.
back then now he retired, but back then he used to be the director, the music director at this radio station. So I know him
Oh,
for
okay.
over a decade. I know him. So he
Mhm.
was my network connection. So one day I just asked him. That was in 2015. If I could meet Amy, and the other person was Smitty, known
Mhm.
as Michael Doug Smith. So his response
Mhm.
is sure, yeah. So all I did was the backstage was free. All you do is just buy a ticket for the show, and they just
Mhm.
have you coming early before the show. Like if the show is like at 7:30, they want you to be there by 6
Okay.
for the backstage meet and greet. So
Yeah.
so I was there by myself because I always invite my friends, but they never show up because they want to meet Amy, but they never come.
Mhm.
So it was just
Yeah.
me. So I
Uh-huh.
got there early. I did everything correct. So I went back there, met Amy, and I met Smitty, which was my fifth time meeting him because I met him 4 times backstage
Mhm.
before since
Yeah.
'06. Smitty. So I met him 5 times for the first time meeting Amy, and I did mention that we know other people in Nashville. So that's was kind of my
Mhm.
other connection. And I just talked to them and got a picture.
Very cool. Well, I mean, your friends that didn't show up, they didn't get to get a picture with Amy Grant. I remember her from
Yeah,
the 80s, and she has a beautiful voice.
yeah. And my friends when I saw them, they responded that they forgot or they couldn't come, and
Yeah.
and I wish they had told me like the day before, but it was already after. So oh okay.
Mhm.
So I just kind of move on and just contact my contact person and for future shows. So for the listeners that if you want to meet the artists like backstage,
Mhm.
the number one is network. If
Mhm.
network that means if you know someone from the radio station, get to know him or her for a long time And when you
Yeah.
do, you can email that him or her for backstage meet and greets,
Hmm.
which are free, but you just pay for show for ticket. If you network
Hmm.
with that person and get to know them for a long time, they'll they'll let you go back there. So that's one way I know how I got to do that for since '98.
Man, you know all the tricks. I never know how to get backstage. I need to ask you for some more tips on how to meet all these amazing people. Well, I'm excited for you. I know you share that you have a few concerts that you are looking forward to, some musicians that you enjoy. So I hope that your friends can start, joining you for these amazing opportunities. That's awesome. Can I ask you, do you? I think you said for when you were going through the process of getting your certificates and your degrees and, for your jobs and maybe even for your classes, there might be some support staff, right, that kind of help guide you there. Do you also do like social outings with friends that you have made, whether through work or that you made at these community outings?
Oh, for me, it's usually it's through the workshops I go to, and after that they will invite me to have lunch or dinner. And
Yeah.
when I go to that lunch or dinner, I meet others who has
Mm-hmm.
who has a who has a disability. Um, it may
Mm-hmm.
not be autism, but it could be like Down syndromes or other. So I meet them and
Mm-hmm.
I talk to them, and very interesting though, because when I meet them and I meet the parents, they knows that I I'm different, because the people that I meet usually they have a PCA with them because they're mostly in a group home.
Okay.
And when they see me, well,
Mm-hmm.
one they're kind of intrigued and they ask me, what do you do, and all these general questions. I just told them I live alone in an apartment with a cat. I work for a time job at a state. I don't have a PCA, and they were just their parents were just intrigued that they met someone
Yeah.
that that they met someone who is independent,
Yeah.
that person don't rely on a PCA to take them places.
I mean, that's very inspiring. I love that. Have you always been pretty independent? And I guess after high school, did you live at home or for a while, or did you like move out after high school and have been just kind of on your own for I guess the last 20 something years?
Or after high school, I did live alone. I did live with my parents for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, I moved out and lived in a public housing for a few years, and then I moved into the suburbs and lived in an apartment by myself, studio apartment by myself. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I kind of want my own freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to do my own thing and have fun.
I mean, it's nice to have that independence. And then it sounds like you keep very busy too with your interests, especially with going to concerts, and you stay pretty busy with all of those community outings.
Oh, I also mentioned because on my work computer, I have on my Outlook calendar, I have all my appointments
Hmm.
and events on my
Hmm.
calendar, so I know which day is the class or which day I'll be doing. So that kind of helps. That's kind of like my to-do list.
Yeah,
Especially for
keep you
those who have
organized.
yeah, especially for those who have ADHD. That really helps
Hmm.
them to but for me, I just keep it on my Outlook calendar and print out a copy, so I know which day and for me to do things. So that's kind of helped me, and also kind of keep track of my after work activities.
Yeah, definitely. So I just really appreciate you sharing about your about you, and all the various things that you have been through in your life. And I know that talking about ourselves can be difficult to do, but I appreciate you sharing your story with us. And you mentioned a little bit about your parents and their understanding of, autism or of disability. Is there any message that you would like to share with our Hmong community about autism?
Um, yeah, if for the people who have that autism, um, talk to find or talk to people who has it. They are your support group, and they will help you do things and be positive in your life. And don't let the other people who tell you negative things uh, break bring you down. Always always find people who find people that you know are positive, and then later on you're able to do things more fun and joy to do.
And is it okay if I ask you, because I bet your parents see that you're super busy, right? You're always doing this. Because I think when we were trying to find a date for our recording, you were like, oh, I'm busy on Monday, on this day, and this day. So you have a very full schedule. But now that they see that you're pretty busy, you have a busy social life, like, do they understand, the diagnosis a little bit more and how you were able to find your own kind of supports and resources and feel like, wow, even though we don't understand autism, we're glad that Sai found a way to find the supports that he needs so he can, be living his best life.
Oh, I just I I was gonna say because I just found out that my a week ago my mom had a stroke
Yeah.
and was sent to the hospital. But before that,
Oh, no.
we me and my brother did told my mom about my autism. She's still
Mm-hmm.
she's still more of the older generation. She don't understand and
Mm-hmm.
still use put downs. So so for now I find out that my uncle aunts they're more supportive because they like to
Mm-hmm.
go out to things, and they know they have relatives who has the same condition. So they're more
Mm-hmm.
supportive for me compared to my
Yeah.
mom only. And they kind of sometimes they ask me what do you do outside work or something like that. So I just told them
Mm-hmm.
that I go to events or concerts and do all these things to keep me busy but be positive and be active out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. Sometimes you have to understand where people are coming from and meet them where they're at, and then also just continue to seek out the people who do understand, right? It can be a support for you. So, thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing your experience and be so encouraging because, like I said, I am amazed. I'm inspired that you were able to go find all of these amazing resources out there. And, like I said, working for the state, that's awesome. I wish you so much the best wishes for your career. And I hope that, when you're ready, maybe you'll look into getting more cats, to join you and your current friend. And thank you for just being a voice for the Hmong autism community. And, I work with a lot of the questions that I get are from parents of younger children, right? And we don't hear a lot of the voices of our adults with autism. So thank you for kind of agreeing to be that voice and say, there are a lot of opportunities. You do have to dig a little bit to find them, but those opportunities and resources are there, and kind of shine a light on, the possibilities after high school. So thank you so much, Sai.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so thank you for joining me today, and I hope to hear more about what you do. And please continue to share with us all the exciting and amazing things that you participate in. And I know you share, I mean, like, I love that you share very specific, like the programs that are available, because I think a lot of what I hear is like, after high school, what's next, right? And so I was just in North Carolina, and even a provider there was like, there's just limited resources. But now we know that, yes, that is still true, but there are pockets of entities out there that provide specific programs available to individuals. So thank you for sharing that. I hope that this will be helpful to some of our Hmong parents who aren't sure where to start. So thank you for sharing, and we'll catch up soon,
Okay,
okay?
okay, thanks.